There we go. So can you still see me?
Yes, I can see
All
you.
right.
I
Okay.
hear you a bit worse.
So we started off talking about then the 16 stages of insight. Do you know them all by
Yes,
number?
yes,
All right. So you know that step six is that once you see everything dissolving in dissolution, there comes fearfulness, then followed by misery and disgust and desperation, followed by a strong desire of wanting to get out, following redoubling of the effort. Up to
mm,
step 12, then, is the Eightfold Noble Path and the Four Noble Truths.
yes,
So, why don't we start with that rather than going through all of that dry Vipassana stuff for so many years? Eventually, you start practicing correctly. Once you recognize that you've gotten yourself into a real hole or a real mess with your meditation, what
mm,
some of the teachers call a dark night of the soul, which is a ridiculous thing to say. And then why would you do that? I mean, people want to practice whatever they are practicing that we can call meditation in order to come out of their misery. Why should they
yes,
go into something that takes them even deeper into it?
mm,
And you probably also heard in many places, including in the Dhammapada, it says that the teachings of the Buddha are good in the beginning, good in the middle, and good in
yes,
the end,
yes.
rather than bad in the beginning, worse, worse, worse in the middle, and eventually gets good.
But for me, this seems to be like changing in last years. It's not like just bad in the middle. It's still kind of unpleasant, but it's my understanding at least, through the recognition of what's happening, it's kind of not that difficult anymore. There is more this kind of understanding. Okay, well, it's difficult now. It's this, but it's
Yeah,
not
so
like this
you've really taken
total.
that dog pile into the kitchen. So what we really need to do is to change the focus. Actually, you could go so far as to say that there are major parts of the Eightfold Path that are missing in the Mahasi method taught in the West. And this is no put down of Mahasi Sayadaw, who died in 1982,
Hmm,
that he didn't speak English. He lived in Burma, but according to Daniel Ingram, it was U Pandita that took over after Mahasi died and taught his own version,
hmm,
calling it the Mahasi method, but in fact, it's not the method of the Buddha
hmm.
because there's parts missing. Do you know what part is missing in that practice that's included in the Eightfold Noble Path? It, in fact, the part that makes it noble.
Well, no, tell me.
All right. It's right noble effort.
Okay.
Okay.
Hmm,
So seeing the dukkha means that you have to look. You have to remember to look. And so they've got two items of the Eightfold Noble Path that they do use to remember to look. But that's
hmm,
not enough. You need to look with discernment to figure out whether this is worth doing or not, or whether we should make a change.
hmm, hmm.
In other words, if you're in the hindrances, the whole point about the hindrances and the whole teaching of the hindrances is to stop them. Don't go there. Come out of them. And yet that's not even mentioned in either the Goenka or in the Mahasi or most of the other teachings. I would say, in fact, the only group that really talks about it very much is Zen.
Mm,
When they
mm,
say just sit there, just sit, which means don't sit and ruminate, don't sit and blow your horn, don't sit and suck on your horn, just sit. You're already enlightened, you've already got what you need, just enjoy, just sit.
mm. Okay.
Zazen. All right. But the Mahasi method is certainly missing that part about coming out of the hindrances. Yeah, they'll mention them, but they don't take the emphasis that the Buddha puts on them. So the first sutta that I would mention would be Sutta number 19 in the Majjhima Nikaya, and the name of it is Two Kinds of Thoughts. Where in the first part of it, it describes what is unwholesome thoughts, thoughts of cruelty, thoughts of revenge, thoughts of getting your way, worries, doubts, all of that kind of stuff. And then wholesome thoughts, which is not that, to come out of all of that and come into wholesome thoughts. And then the sutta follows on with an analogy of a cowherd. Now, in ancient India, the cowherds only had just a few. It's not like a drover with cattle drive with thousands of cows. It's just one guy with his stick, and that he's got to take the cattle out to a pasture. But on the way to the pasture, he has to pass through a kind of a village area along the path. And that's where his stick comes in. So if the cow gets a carrot off of one of the stalls, the cowherd will whack the cow. He'll keep them in line. If one of the cows gets out of line and starts messing with the laundry on the line, or runs over a child or something like that, then that cowherd is in great danger. The village people will not like the fact that he can't control his cows.
Yeah.
So he'll whack them with that stick to get them back in line. Once he gets out of that village and into the area where they can graze, he doesn't stand there with a stick anymore. He goes and sits down under a tree and keeps an eye on them. So this is the analogy that the Buddha has in that sutta, in the sense that the hindrances are like the stuff that the cows like. They'll run amok, they'll steal, they'll steal carrots, they'll run over children, they'll cause damage, and the cowherd has to stand there or walk with the cows and whack them. In fact, we do that with the training of children, that every child would grow up without any rules at all. He would be a barbarian. That humans are only humans because they're socialized, but we generally get beat into being socialized, and then we continue to get beat, and the beatings continue to happen, and we become more and more socialized, but we never give it a break. So we have to find a way of coming out of those hindrances by bucking our culture. And that whole point then is the right noble effort. And so in one regard, you can say the right noble effort is the cowherd whacking those cows. But then the next part of the right noble effort is not just to stop them from the hindrances, but to replace it with something wholesome. Like taking them out to pasture and letting them feed. Now, in the Anapanasati Sutta, most specifically, this is referred to then as point number 10. By the way, in the Anapanasati Sutta, they are not steps, one step after another. It's much more like a waltz. And that point number 10 is to gladden the mind. But in this regard, we're talking about gladdening the mind in the sense of changing your mind state, because those hindrances often keep us in the state of being a victim. And we need to change that to come out of our victimhood into a natural existence, which would be wholesome. So in fact, what we could do then is point out the difference between the two words normal and natural. And we have been beat into, through our cultural systems becoming normal. We're normal people, but we're not natural at all.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
The teaching then of Anapanasati is to change the normal back into natural by gladdening the mind, becoming joyful, intentionally so. With the language, first the language that we use, and then the attitude of the mind, and then eventually the feelings. And all the while we also work with the breathing to help develop sati, as well as stop the normal breathing and start breathing more naturally, which has the effect of then coming out of the tensions, the worries, the tightness, the pain, etc., like that, so that the body becomes comfortable and then relaxed. And yet you don't see in this Mahasi method that you're talking about relaxation anywhere.
That's true. Not much. Yeah.
Not much, no, but it's part of the Anapanasati practice, and it's also part of the right effort to relax and become joyful.
Mm-hmm.
But there's no guarantee that you're going to go all the way through all of those 16 steps to come finally to start practicing correctly at step 12. And then step 16 is kind of a weird one anyway, because that's where we start. And
I
that
agree
is
with
the ongoing continuing to look.
you.
Well, that's what we start with. You probably know that 16 stages of insight didn't come from the Buddha at all.
Yeah,
It
that's
came
from
from
Visuddhimagga. Yeah.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
There's a lot of other stuff in the Visuddhimagga that makes the whole point of not worth dealing with the Visuddhimagga. It does not follow the teachings of the Buddha. In fact, it's quite magical. It's quite Brahmin, which fits in nicely with the fact that the guy who was in charge of getting the book done, Buddhadasa, was Brahmin.
Yeah.
So if you forget the Visuddhimagga and start dealing with the suttas, you'll find actually correct practice there. But I know the Sri Lankans and also the Burmese, they really love some Visuddhimagga. The Visuddhimagga was written in Sri Lanka, and so they seem to be overly attached to it rather than the actual teachings of the Buddha.
I'm just thinking that this aspect of joy, it's really not something which is much like talked about. Well, I got it kind of informally through this teacher I was talking about. He always told me, don't be so serious, don't be so serious. But as I told you, like practicing more kind of helped me in that sense, but not as much as I would have liked to. So this is a good.
When you start
making
right noble effort your main part of your practice, to change out of the hindrances into a comfortable, happy, joyful, satisfied state. That's the whole point of sukha, is to become satisfied with the way things are. And that can be done very quickly, can be done very easily, but it needs to be done over and over and over again, because we have the propensity of falling back into bad habits. Yeah. Every minute, in fact, every second, in fact. What I often see students do is when they have sati and they can see the dukkha, they don't like it, and then they've lost their sati. But then I see you joyfully. I see you. Mr. Hindrance. I see you, Mara, is in fact the way that the Buddha stated it. Aha, I
Mm,
see you,
mm,
Mara.
mm, mm,
And
mm,
that aha is actually part of the change. That's the gladdening of the mind, is to be happy that you can see the dukkha, therefore you don't step in it. But like I say, the Mahasi method, when they see the dukkha, they pick it up and take it into their kitchen. And they really deal with the dukkha. They wallow in it. They spread it all over their face. They take a bath in it.
mm.
And this is
Well,
why they wind up in the dark night of the soul sometimes.
mm. This wasn't necessarily my experience. Kind of like I never heard the instruction to like go into the dukkha just to recognize it and then just let it go like as quickly as possible. But this
Yeah,
aspect of joy is
but
really something which.
how would you let it go? That's the whole point. What's the next thing you got is just more dukkha. You have to come out of it.
Mm.
And it's not necessarily just kind of letting it go because the stuff is sticky. Okay?
Yeah, well,
Have
letting it go like through moving the focus like on the primary object, for example, it would be like the standard. But
pardon?
it's true. It
Pardon?
comes like normally it would be like moving the attention back to the primary object like that. That's the kind of letting go. But it's true. It comes back
Exactly
again, so
wrong.
then it's there
That's
again.
exactly not correct. That's
Mm,
well, let us say it depends, but the object of meditation is often the dukkha anyway, and that a better object would be to gladden the mind. I have an old story, by the way. This came from an English monk that I knew many, many years ago, and he had the analogy of, have you ever picked your nose and picked a booger out of your nose?
pick the what?
A booger,
Yeah.
snot,
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
one
Yeah.
of the dry yellow things, all right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Guess
Yeah.
what? You can't let it go. It clings. You got to flick it off. You got to take the effort to throw that thing down.
Mm,
Or some people will suck it off, but the whole point is that it's sticky. It's stuck in the nose, and when you pull it out with your finger, it sticks to the finger. This is the hindrances. They're sticky.
mm,
They keep finding their way back in. And so you can't just let them go. That's the wrong way of saying it. You've got to actually do something. You've got to throw that stuff out and replace it with something. Kind of like a diversion.
mm. Though
Like a
sometimes
dog is barking somebody, and that you can divert the dog by giving him a treat.
mm, mm, okay. I'm just thinking that sometimes it like worked just by recognizing that kind of the mind was okay. Uh, it wouldn't be so sticky, but sometimes not. Yeah.
Well, it's sticky enough
Yeah.
that you have to change the way that you practice.
Yeah. I'm
You
just
have,
trying to like put it together in my mind because I cannot say that the practice didn't work for me. It did. So it's kind of when you say this is the wrong way, I kind of have to figure out to say, well, it still did something good for me. So it's not like totally wrong, but I see that this accent on the
all
kind of
right.
like joy
Let
and
let
dropping is
me
different.
ask you a question that you probably don't want to answer or can't answer anyway. You're not free from suffering. You're not enlightened.
Well, I'm better
So
than
it,
I was before. Yeah. But
yeah, right.
yes,
Improvement.
true.
That's in fact
Yeah.
what the Buddha's not into improving. The Buddha's into removing.
Mm,
The whole teaching of the Buddha, you probably heard, can be stated in just a few words. The entire teaching of the Buddha, dukkha, dukkha nirodha. And the Mahasi method is dukkha, 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 look at the dukkha, see the dukkha, get really in touch with that dukkha.
mm.
And basically what you're saying is that you've done at least a little bit of taking the right effort to throw that stuff out. and replacing it with something wholesome. And if you do that, you'll get a whole lot more benefit out of it. The Anapanasati method that the Buddha taught, and he only taught according to, let us say, a lot of research that's been done in Thailand. Bhikkhu Buddhadasa at one time said that the Buddha only taught one kind of meditation. And that caused quite a stir and quite a literature search. And it came back that he was correct, that the 40 meditations that you find in the Visuddhimagga was not what the Buddha taught. Did not teach the jhanas. He did not teach the Brahma Viharas and Metta, Karuna, Mudita, Upekkha. He did not teach yoga. He taught Anapanasati, and he says, and it's got great fruit, great benefit. It's good right there in the beginning. But the teachings of the Buddha have become obscured, in some cases, possibly intentionally obscured. If I can't do it, nobody can kind of mentality.
Yeah.
So, according to Sutta number 117, the way to practice is to come out of ordinary views and start seeing what's going on, to investigate, to look, to see what dukkha is, to see what unwholesome thoughts are, and then to change them. So that right sati, right ditthi, and right virya, right effort, runs circles around one another. That if you just see it, if you just look and see it, that's not enough. You've got to actually do something about it. You've got to change it from unwholesome to wholesome. And as soon as you start doing that, you'll start getting benefits immediately.
Then how do you do that practically?
Well,
like, okay, you recognize the state. And
I see that. You can also start recognizing that that normally people have fear. They have a lot of fear. And whenever the fear comes up, you can start telling yourself, look, there's nothing to be afraid of right now. I'm okay. Yeah, what I'm worried about is 3 weeks from now. I don't have to worry about it for 3 weeks. I can worry about it when it happens. And if I'm correct, I won't even worry about it when it happens. But why would I worry in advance? Everything's going to be okay, is the kind of language that we would use. Wow, I'm not afraid. Wow, there's nothing to fear right now. There's no alligators, there's no crocodiles, there's no lions, there's no bears, there's no Russian mafia. Right here, right now, you're safe. So take a deep breath and start to feel safe right now. This is the practice of Anapanasati, is to confront that fear in the sense of recognizing that it's false, it's old. We trained in fear when we were children. We were victims to the things that made us afraid. But now you're an adult. There's nothing to fear. And so you can say, got nothing to fear. Everything's okay right now. I'm all right. Everything's going to be all right. Everything is fine. No worries, no troubles. This is the kind of words that you would use. Something like, wow, it feels good to be comfortable. Wow, it feels good to be satisfied. I really enjoy being satisfied. I don't want anything. You see, the Mahasi method leaves people wanting stuff. But here we can see that wanting stuff is just a hindrance. If we want something, that means that we're doing without it. If we need it, we're doing without it, which means we're not whole, we're not complete, we're not good enough. I got to go get that, what my heart desires. Only then will I feel good. except that when we get it, we generally don't feel good. We go off wanting something else because we're in the habit of wanting.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
here
Well,
we,
it's a false promise. Yeah.
so here we're intentionally coming out of the want and saying everything's okay right now. I don't want anything. Everything is all right. And you can do that immediately. Then you can do it again as soon as you remember, and do it again as soon as you remember. Because the mind is in the habit, it's in the propensity of going immediately back into the hindrances. Wants and doubts and not likings and being confused and doubtful and all that kind of stuff. So no reason to be doubtful. We're okay.
So let me kind of like rephrase it in my words if I understand. So it's kind of like cognitive like relativization of the condition of the negative mind state, let's say, kind of by and getting into the habit of seeing it in this way and then kind of reacting more quicker or kind of not letting the
Yeah,
mind
the
go there
soon,
so often and unlearning the habit.
right. To unlearn the habits and actually to become real in reality rather than in our heads, in our perception. That we stay in sensory input, and the sensory input is everything is okay right now. The slings and arrows of outrageous fortune are generally between the ears.
Yeah, that's in my case. Yeah, at least.
And so we can come out of that. And when you come out of it, immediately when you come out of it, you're free. The effects of the Buddha are immediate. That's why it's good in the beginning, is because the effects are immediate. And it's good in the middle because after we keep doing this over and over again, we begin to develop the skills that we need. The skills that we need is the skills to remember, to look, so that we don't step in it. The skill to really look, to remember to look. And then the third one, the skill, this important skill here, is to remember to change. To make a change, take the right effort to do something, to make a change, to gladden the mind, to throw the hindrances out, to start having wholesome thoughts. That it's our unwholesome thoughts that make us unhappy. It's a very simple practice, but it needs to be practiced.
Thank you. It makes sense. Yeah.
So that's it in a nutshell. There's certainly a whole lot more to talk about, but everything that there is to talk about keeps coming back to do this. Remember to do it. Remember that you got the opportunity to make a change when you can see what's going on. So one of the skills that we develop of the right investigation is to be able to discern what is dukkha and what is not dukkha. And much of what we do that we think is okay, that's not dukkha, that's wholesome, we eventually begin to say, well, no, that's unwholesome too.
Okay, yeah.
And then we can change. But there are a few things that we could say that we know for sure are downright wholesome, without a doubt. Be here now. Everything is okay. Not a problem. Not a worry. I feel good. I'm relaxed. I can see that stuff. And so you begin to develop confidence. And that confidence is a skill that comes along with the fourth item on the Eightfold Noble Path, which is called Samma Sankappa. It's translated better. It's sometimes translated as right thought, right noble thought, but that's not a good translation. It's also translated as right noble intention, and that's a better translation. But an even better translation would be right noble attitude, to have the attitude that you got it made, the attitude that you're already a winner, the attitude of success. So as we develop and grow our skill of satisfaction, the satisfaction then, as a skill development, grows into success. And right now, I would assume that you want to defend that you've gotten some progress out of it, but you don't feel successful. You don't feel wealthy. You don't feel rich with the Dhamma.
Yes, well, not just that, but also that. Yeah, that's right.
Mm-hmm. So you practice Anapanasati correctly, and you begin to get satisfied with your progress. Then you become successful with your progress, and eventually you become wealthy with your progress. You got Dhamma everywhere. All you can do is just spread it around.
Thank you. So much.
So practice becoming wealthy with the Dhamma. Practice becoming successful with the practice. But also, the primary number one thing quickly is to become satisfied. Satisfied with your progress, satisfied with your breathing, satisfied with the chair you're sitting in, satisfied with all the people that you know. Come out of our dissatisfactions. But that's a really good definition of dukkha, is dissatisfy. Yeah. And start becoming satisfied. Come out of the dukkha. Come out of dissatisfactions into satisfaction. You keep doing that, you'll become really successful at it, and you know it. That in fact, I'm kind of referencing Sutta number 49 now, the Kasambian Sutta, where the Buddha talks about the hindrances. And then he makes the statement that when someone knows for sure that no matter how hindered, how obstructed the mind can be, they can come right out of it and see the reality the way that it is. And that's confidence. That's knowledge, the knowledge that you can get out of your hindrances every time that you see them. And then the Buddha states that this state of mind, this knowledge, this championship, this knowledge that you can get out of them, that's not held by ordinary people. This is supramundane. This is a factor of the path. This is the first step of the path. And it's not held by ordinary people. This is noble. A noble attitude that you can get out of your own way, that you can solve your own problems. In fact, you can dissolve your own problems. And that's the first step. The first step on the path, which means this is the first step of Sotapanna, is that knowledge that you can do this.
Thank you. It feels empowering in a way, or kind of like
Yes, the
the
teaching of the
nice.
Buddha are really empowering when you really get it. In fact, that's what we're getting, is you're getting power. What is the power that you're getting? The power that you confidence that you can do this. These are the real idia. You probably heard of the Sanskrit word of siddhi, spiritual powers.
Yeah.
But the real spiritual powers is sati. It is investigation. It is effort and energy, and it is confidence that you can do this. Those are the real powers. It really is empowering. You can do anything because you've got the attitude that you can do anything. But that attitude is based upon success. It's based upon real solid evidence. This is not wishful thinking. The word shraddha does not mean faith like it's often translated. It means solid evidence that gives confidence. If I got out of dukkha one time, I can get out of it again. If I got out of it twice, I can do it a third and a fourth time. And it begins to multiply like that. And I begin to recognize I can get out of it. I know I can get out of it. That's the real power, is to be free from this Mara, this devil, this unwholesome state of mind that we're in, this victimhood. You know that you're a champion. But it takes practice. Practice. Every time the hindrances come up, you say, hot dog, I see you. Out you go. I'm the boss here. My thoughts, my unwholesome thoughts don't run my life.
Nice. Thank you. I don't know what to say. I just need to let it settle down and everything.
All right.
I appreciate it a lot. Yeah. Thank you.
You might want to review this video too, because in a way what I'm saying is upside down to what our culture has been teaching us, and therefore it's kind of upside down to Western Buddhism also. Is that you can come out of that dukkha, you can sidestep it, and then you can skip down the road happily, keep watching for those dog piles, and you don't step on any of them. You cultivate joy. This is what we mean by cultivating joy. The joy is that, aha, I didn't step in that dog pile. Aha, I can pull that unwholesome thought out of my mind, and I can pull out the next one too. No matter how many dog piles, no matter how obstructed the mind becomes, doesn't matter what kind of hindrances, whether they're brought with a cop and a warrant, whether they're brought with prison, whether they're brought with hospitalization, whatever brings those unwholesome states of mind, I can come out of them. I've got that confidence, is the way you want to talk. You can handle anything, deal with anything happily. This is the way to practice. But it takes effort, especially in the beginning. It takes a lot of effort to come out of those old thought patterns.
I seem to be busy. Someone calling you.
Yes, Kath's calling. Is it okay if I add him to the call? Because we're about finished, I think.
Yeah. And just tell me, I will write you in the chat about other things Like, what's your email and stuff? Like, if I need to contact you.
Well, the way to contact me is here on Skype.
Okay, that's the best
To
way.
call. That's the right way
Good.
to do it. Hello, Kat.
Hey, hello. I see you're here. Are you having a conversation on with someone?
Yes, this is Vadkler. By the way, Vad,
Hello.
where do you stay? Where do you live? What country?
Czech Republic currently.
Okay. Kat's
Yeah.
from Ireland, but he's here
Oh.
on the island now. He's at a what?
Oh, nice.
Yes.
Nice.
What that I may be leaving. I don't know if you see my message, Dhammarato.
Oh, again, you're going to leave. Uh-huh.
Yeah, I was gonna give you a call about that.
The last time I heard you was when you were having so much joy making a broom with that monk that you were having trouble with, and you're having trouble with him again, huh?
No, that's the thing is that I feel like we're all okay. Everything is really fine, but I just feel like I want to leave.
Where are you going
It's
to
hard
go?
to describe. It's hard to I was thinking of I was thinking to spend like a month or two at Udon Ratanachiri or whatever you call it. Udon. No, sorry, that's not the one. Udon Thani in an Ajahn Moon temple with a monk called Ajahn Martin. In that temple,
Okay.
Udon Tong Pong or Udon Tong Udon. Sorry, no. What Tong Pong something.
Okay.
Jeez, I
Well,
don't know.
let's finish with Vlad.
Yeah. Okay.
What do you want to be called?
Well, Václav would be the way to pronounce it, but it doesn't matter. Just as long as I
Sure it
recognize
does.
it's me.
Let me have
Okay.
your correct name.
Yeah.
Okay. How do you say it?
Václav.
Huh?
Václav. It's not difficult. Václav. It's not K, it's C, the C. So it's Václav.
Vaclav.
Yeah, almost. That's good. Good enough. Yeah.
Vaclav. All right.
Sounds like Botsoft. I don't know why. Ladsoft. Okay.
All right. Well, I'm glad to meet you.
Me too.
When
Thank
are
you.
you coming to Thailand? You said that you're on your way, kind of.
On the 30th.
You're coming on the
like in 1
30th
week.
of December. Okay. And
Yeah.
well, all right. If the retreat starts at Wat Suan Mok on the 1st, you should plan on getting there, as they say, on the 31st.
Yes. That's what I understood from their website. But you said it's not something you recommend so much to go there, or do you? Or
Well, if that's the time, it's better spent there. If you're coming,
okay.
sure. But if
Okay.
you want something a little closer to the teaching of Bhikkhu Buddhadasa, you can go then to the retreat over at Deep of One. In fact, they have it planned so that you can come out of the one at Wat Suan Mok and go right into the one at Deep of One on the 11th.
Okay. I will check it out. I think Wat Suan Mok they finish on 11th in the morning. So and the registration starts. There's some kind of overlap. It's not like easy, I think, to make the transition, as far as I understood from the internet, at least. I'm not sure.
Go ahead, Kat.
Well, if you finish on the 11th, as long as you can get to Deepa Bhavan by 3 o'clock, that's when the last transport goes up to the retreat center. Then you have no problems as long as you can get there by 3 o'clock. If you have some that's pretty hard though. Only if you can get out of Wat Suan Mok in the morning and get a boat from, I think, wouldn't you get a boat from Suratani?
Yeah, well, it's better to get to Dansak. So you want to get you get a light blue pickup truck.
Yeah.
I think that they come like at 9 in the morning or 8 in the morning, right across from Wat Suan Mok. There is a little bus stop, and they come, and you can pick that up, and it'll take you to Surat Thani. and you can tell the driver that you want to go to Koh Samui or Don Sac or something, so he'll be able to get you to a place where you can pick up a van.
Mm.
And then from
And
that
is
van, you can get to Don Sac in time to get a boat.
mm.
In fact, you probably want to use the, not the ferry Don Sac, but the Lung Praya. And you can actually on the internet check the timings of this.
Okay. And is it at the retreat at Bawan that they are like, because they have the registration starting in the morning, are they like booked out that I need to be there like in the very morning?
You
Otherwise the
gotta
crowd will take over. No.
no.
Okay.
You gotta book in advance on the internet.
Oh, okay.
If you wait until the retreat starts or the day of the retreat, it's already going to be booked solid. You need to do it a week or two in advance before you even come to Thailand. You want to book.
Yeah. Then I will do it now. Good. Okay.
You know Daniel and his friend Rick, I think, are going to Deepa Bhavan at the 11th.
Yes, that's right. Rick was going to go on the 11th.
Yeah, Daniel's going with him. He's coming down from wherever he is. I forgot Wapa Peng to Samui.
Yeah, someplace around Chiang Mai.
Yeah.
Mm.
So you would probably end up meeting those guys if you went, and they'd probably show you all of the tricks around how to get familiar with Thailand a little bit.
Yeah. Well,
It's kind of a wild west.
Yeah, I've been to Thailand, but in the north mostly, like near Chiang Mai,
Oh,
actually.
okay.
So good.
Oh, okay.
Thank you. All right.
Okay.
Thanks.
So, Vaclav, we'll see you soon.
Hopefully. Yeah, see you soon. Have a good day.
All right.
Thank you for your time. Okay. Bye-bye. Bye, Katao.
Bye-bye.
Good luck.
Goodbye.
Bye, Dhammarato.
Vaclav.